Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about something pretty controversial in wargaming, that being cheating and how to fix it. Maybe? I want to start off by saying that cheating is a very controversial thing in miniature wargaming, and that in my opinion the C word, as I like to call it, is thrown around way too much. If you could imagine this situation, two players at a table playing a game. Let's say someone double-checked someone's army list and found out it's 2005 points and not the 2000 point max. Someone could say, well, sorry, I must have miscalculated, I'll double check on it. And often then already the C word is being thrown around. I would say that this isn't the cheating, at least that I would define as such. And I think if you want to have a discussion on this topic, which I think we should, and I think it is actually helpful to do so, it's very important to be clear about what we mean by cheating and what we mean by cheating by intent and making an honest mistake. So if you just look at the dictionary, cheating is acting dishonestly or unfairly in order to gain an advantage. It's a little bit vague for my tastes, so I came up with my patented own wargaming definition, that being intentionally abusing or breaking a rule or convention to gain a tangible advantage. So I added a few things. Why did I do that? I think intent is really important. If you go back to the previous example, if someone intentionally or unintentionally made that mistake, is very important to knowing if somebody is actually cheating. Why that's important, I'll come back to that, come back later. I think gaining an advantage also kind of vague. Breaking rules or conventions to gain tangible advantages. I think that's what it's about. To actually talk about the cheating, we should combat as a community, in which we should say no to. When we talk about cheating, we often think of things like loaded dice and some really obvious things, but I think the multitude of cheating is a lot more nefarious than that. So what do I mean by that? Go back to our example of two players at a table. I think most of us have been in this situation as well. One guy saying, "Oh, your dudes are toughness 5, right?" Other guy saying, "Yeah, they are." He's thinking, I know they are toughness 4, but everybody will buy me making this mistake. Okay, I win on 4s and not on 3s. This is what we call angle shooting. The cheater, the player on the right here, wasn't necessarily looking to cheat, but when the situation presented itself, he did it, and people get away with this a lot more often than loaded dice or other things. In my experience, I TO'd quite a few events. I judged quite a few events. I see a lot more of this and a lot less loaded dice or any actual like hard abuse. It's more nefarious than that. It's more nasty than that, actually. I think this is the real problem. I think this happens at any event, and I think this actually happens most to new players, which I think is a really bad thing. Talk a little bit more about what is cheating, what is not cheating, to really build on our definitions. Obviously, using loaded dice is cheating. Angle shooting is cheating. Intentionally misremembering your model as T5 and not T4 is cheating. But if you made an honest effort measuring a close charge and you bumped into a model which makes it impossible to measure now, that's not cheating. That's just a mistake. And the issue is, if you actually would unintentionally misremember your model is T5 and not T4, in my book, that's not cheating either. That's what we call an honest mistake, and we all make that. The difference in these things is intent. Intent, I would say, is key in deciding if someone is cheating or not. We all make mistakes in this very complex game. It's almost impossible to avoid. But it leads to angle shooting. It leads to nefarious players taking abuse of especially new players. And I think the new players is the people we should protect the most. Intent is the problem. Intent mostly happens inside someone's head, and that's really hard to check. I would argue that it's good to take intent out of the equation of cheating. And we can do that with something other competitive gaming systems have done as well, by introducing a warning system. A warning system is a system in which a judge would track how many warnings you would get in a game. If you have 4 warnings over the entire event, you get a game loss. Warnings are issued for any gameplay mistakes that player makes that gives them an advantage. They add up to your whole tournament. Only judge can issue them, not any other people, and anyone can call a judge to a table to investigate gameplay errors, of which it's unclear if they're intentional or not. If we go back to our previous examples, using loaded dice actually is one of the rare things in which you can actually see the intent, because, well, why would you have loaded dice if you were intending to cheat? Like, the whole purpose of loaded dice, if you bring them to the event and if you roll them at the table, is to cheat. So that would still just be cheating in the old sense of the world, and just a good reason to just disqualify people, of course, and ban them from your gaming group. But where angle shootings and intentionally misremembering stuff, while in most gaming situations, sadly, currently, you go away unpunished, in this system, you would just get a warning. We're not judging you, we're just saying you made a mistake and you deserve a warning. The downside is, of course, that also if you made honest mistakes, I would say bumping into someone would not lead to a warning. Like, that's something that can happen. But unintentionally misremembering a model is toughness 5 and not D4 would also give you a warning. I think a big advantage of giving warnings to players that you can actually combat angle shooting, and I think that is one of the things that really happens quite a lot. If you make a lot of honest mistakes, that shouldn't be a habit in a competitive setting. Going to an event if you go to an event, a competitive event, you should expect your opponents to know their army and know the rules in a way that they can play a game. And if they don't, I think it's okay to punish people for that. I think that the damage of that is less than what we have right now, that being angle shooters getting to run rampant. You also eliminate a lot of awkward discussions. It doesn't matter anymore if somebody intentionally or unintentionally did something or misremembered something. If you made a mistake, you and you get a punishment. You can easily expand this system to other things as well. If somebody is slow playing and a judge at the table sees that somebody is slow playing, you get a warning. You made a mistake in your army list, you can correct it. You get a warning at the beginning of the event. It's easy, it's simple, it's clear. Even though if it does lead to a little bit more admin, I think it's very, very manageable, and I think it's very doable to do it like that. One real downside that I see is that tournaments become more intimidating to new players, because honest mistakes get consequences. Right now, if you're a new player, you make a lot of honest mistakes in your first tournament. That doesn't really add up to anything. Well, this could add up to new players getting game losses, which is a fair downside to the system. I can totally understand that would be a reason to not implement it. Wrapping this all up, I think we talk a lot in competitive wargaming about playing by intent, and I think we can go beyond that. I think we can learn from other games like Magic the Gathering, who've been playing competitive games for a lot longer than we are, and that go for the games that are going on in there are on about a lot more money. And I think that even though wargames are different and have a different crowd, I can still think that there are things we can learn from that community. I think that for judges, it's also very important to remind yourself that you do not actually give a punishment, players earn them by their actions. If you do your job correctly, that's of course. And I think that the current situation in which judges rarely at all give any punishments, cheaters prosper and their honest opponents and new wargamers, probably without even knowing it, suffer for it and pay the price. So this is mainly me taking a bit of a more edgy take, of course, on things. And I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it. And I honestly think that in bigger and more serious gaming events, such as World Championships, such as WTC events, I could really benefit from these kind of issues. From this kind, from fixing this kind of issues, and I think that implementing and then eliminating the necessity of playing by intent to some extent by issuing warnings if people make mistakes, no matter if they're honest or not, could improve the game in the long run and can make our gaming community more healthy. Thanks for watching.